Welcome back to the Let's Have It podcast. It's been a while, but the long-awaited return. We're here today with Adele from Korbyt. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. Thanks for having me in.
So for those who aren't actually familiar with Korbyt, can you give us a quick background about what Korbyt does as a business and what sort of problems you're helping businesses solve?
Yeah, absolutely. I brought you a little mascot before we start.
Nice.
There we go.
I like it.
Everyone likes presents.
It can stay in the shot now.
Absolutely. So what is Korbyt? Korbyt has two areas of its business. First is digital signage. We'll come on to some of the details around that, but digital signage on steroids, that's what I like to refer to it as, all right? So good at data integrations, not just kind of fluffy pictures and images and videos from a signage perspective, so we'll do some detail around that. And the second is it's a workplace experience platform, so connecting people, connecting spaces, making sure you've got what you need, being able to add catering services and all of those good things as well. So being able to book the relevant spaces for you when you do go into the office, which as we know is not every day for everyone nowadays.
Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of both of those platforms about. There's not a lot of people that do both of those combined. So I know based on what we know, you guys have been evolving quite rapidly. So is there anything from a new perspective that more sort of differentiates you from the market or any innovations that maybe you're particularly excited about that's coming? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think we're quite an innovative company. We're quite agile. We tend to do things quite quickly, particularly when we're asked to do, right? That's how we work. It's how all of our R&D and the product works. But what's new? So I would say two really exciting things for me. One is we are trying to speed up the workflows of creating content.
Okay.
So ownership of digital signage is one of the biggest challenges, in my opinion.
Yep.
Right. So you put it in, it can be the best technology in the world, but someone has to own it. Someone has to keep that content up to date. So giving someone the ability to use prompt generation, so AI, I know everyone's talking about AI, to say, create me a layout that it has a QR code to lead to this website and has a group of people in the background sat around a boardroom table wearing party hats. And away you go, the content's created.
Okay.
So not having to create it from scratch, have the skills to do that. So that's speeding up that whole process and allowing people to do their day jobs, which, let's face it, no one's full-time job is creating digital signage content, right? So that's quite exciting.
Well, potentially marketing teams, I don't know.
No, but not full-time.
No, not full-time.
It's all the different mediums that they're doing, of course.
Good point.
So that's exciting. And I think the second thing is, so we've got something coming very, very soon. So a bit of an exclusive here because it's not out in socials yet, but we've got something coming called Screen Detective.
Okay.
So Screen Detective is the ability for our platform to recognise problems with players or endpoints and diagnose those issues and then self-resolve.
Fantastic.
So not having to go in and prevent or react to issues, preventatively looking and knowing there's issues and having rules set to be able to do things like reboot players. That's quite exciting. So big investments in AI. I think AI is obviously going to be a big part of every product. For me, the important thing about AI is not replacing people, it's just speeding those whole processes up.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, so that's that.
Okay, I mean, you called it, what did you call it? Workplace experience or something like that, management. Yeah. So, I mean, for the layman's, probably more along the lines of like room booking, desk booking, that kind of thing. So, I mean, from our perspective, we're seeing it become sort of key in any kind of new modern workspace now, right? You can't really operate a workspace without it. So how are you guys helping organizations manage that? What's your platform doing and making it more effective? And and what features do you think your customers or users of Korbyt are finding?
Yep, good question.
I suppose.
So workplace experience, let's refer to it as that. I think it's all about, we all know we need to book spaces, we need to book a car parking space, a desk, a room. But the process has been quite archaic for a long time. So you kind of have filters. Let's find it needs to be for 5 people. I need it to have X, Y, and Z attributes. So what we're doing, one of the things that we're doing, again, leading into the AI message, is having a chat GPT, if you will, interface to say, find me a room for 5 people on the 3rd floor with the best coffee machine. Off you go. And it'd say, here you go. Rather than having to go search filter, drop downs, all those things. So just making that a little bit easier. And again, it's just about people don't want to spend a lot of time doing these things. The meeting is the important part.
Of course.
The agenda is the important part. So the journey in which you get there to have it booked, I think it just needs to be as quick as possible.
So almost like an assistant finding it for you. You
Exactly.
say, get me all this stuff, and it'll book
Exactly
it
that. So branded concierge AI. So being able to say, this is what I want, find it me as quickly as possible. And the second iteration of that will be reminders for you. So if you book a room and you haven't booked a desk, our interface is going to say, hey, you booked a room, but you've not got a desk that day. Just don't forget to book a desk. So there'll be kind of the reminders coming in there as well.
It's very good.
So very smart, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to flip between them because you guys obviously are quite a broad, I suppose, set. So go back to digital signage and knowing full well how much it's evolved over the last sort of 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It's gotten well beyond just displaying a message on a screen at this point in time, right? So what are you seeing from organizations now? How are they utilizing this to create sort of more meaningful workplace experiences?
Yeah, very good question. It's gone way beyond screens in corridors. So
100%.
It's about for me, the omni-channel experience. So different people want to consume information in different ways, and you have to cater for all of it. You can't just decide on behalf of an organisation, this is the way we're going to do it. So we've all got these in our pockets. So Korbyt is delivering messages to mobile phones, to desktop applications, to obviously screens in corridors, we're not forgetting that. But we've moved into things like MTRs. You know, you've got an MTR or a Zoom room sat in every meeting room. That can be the way in which you communicate from a digital signage perspective. Another exclusive, so coming.
Fine, keep doing them.
Let's do them. Teams integration is coming.
Okay.
So we have a bot essentially that would be your newsletter, so ABC company newsletter, and you can then communicate it via a Teams channel, Teams message to all of your organisation rather than it having to be a different medium. So there's lots of integrations coming because we understand that people need to consume things in slightly different ways, and particularly in different generations, I think it's important.
Okay, well, I was about to ask you anyway how you make sure the right message gets to the right people. So leaning on that Teams piece, is there a way where you can divvy that up so that if there's specific messaging for a certain department, that it would go only to those?
Absolutely.
And then different messaging to, yeah,
absolutely.
All that as well?
So with even with the mobile phone, the desktop application, users sit in groups and they can have mandatory messages, which is one message fits all, of course, yeah. But then you can opt into groups, so it doesn't even have to be a push. The company's deciding what you have. You can decide which channels you want to subscribe to, and that information will be dictated to based on your user profile, which of course can be integrated with SSO and have user groups from a single sign-on perspective as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
So with that as well, again, it sort of leads into where I want to go next anyway. We'll talk about like sort of data and analytics and what's sort of the art of the possible. When it comes to that sort of thing, if we're talking about getting messaging across to the right people, is there any kind of analytics on who's read it, how far they've read, that kind of information? Or what else do you guys have from a data and analytics perspective across the Korbyt range, shall we say?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do signage first of all. So analytics is so important, and I think that organisations have loved the idea of data, but never really necessarily done anything with it historically. Is that fair?
Yeah, probably.
I think it's going, let's collect this data, but actually actioning those things is really important. So if we do signage, so of course it's about proof of play, what messages are on screens, how often, being able to not only dictate which content goes based on interaction, so if it's on your mobile phone and you are clicking on that content and it's more popular, showing more of the same is something that we can do using our the clever back-end machine learning, if you will, earlier versions of AI essentially.
Yep.
But we can also do things like, we do a lot of retail banks. So we do, you walk into a store, you've got a camera that sees you're a male, you are of a certain demographic, and it can then therefore tailor the messaging based on what it thinks you want to know. And if you loiter, you hover around that screen, it can also say, well, actually show more of the same now because mortgage rates clearly interested this person, let's do that. So rather than having predefined content that is just cycling through and you're hoping that someone walks past at the right moment,
it's targeting
making it, yeah, absolutely. We're doing it on mobile phones, we should absolutely be able to do it on signage as well. So quite clever ways of making sure that we get the right messaging, but then obviously that's being analysed as well. So making sure that you're capturing what that means, what's important, so that they can create more of the same that goes into those playlists going forward.
Okay. And then how about the data and the analytics side of it from the workplace management platform?
So from a workplace experience perspective, obviously we do native integrations, we understand what rooms are available, what rooms are not. We're able to say, well, these rooms are 12-person meeting rooms down this corridor, but actually the maximum number of people ever in these meeting rooms this year has been 4.
Okay.
Let's split that real estate up. Meeting rooms are expensive.
They are.
They're an asset that are few and far between and not always available. So making sure that you're taking the information about what is working and what's not, and how those spaces are being used, and making sure that it's relevant going forward. So I think a lot of businesses are catching on to that now.
Yeah, we're seeing it more and more. I mean, part of the reason that we see people wanting to look at it is saying, look, we've got this amount of space. We're not sure whether it's being used correctly. It always seems like you can't get a room, but they always seem to be empty.
Yeah.
How can we, one, see that?
Yeah.
And two, how can we make some data-driven decisions on whether we need that many spaces or whether we need more or whatever it might be.
Absolutely,
before we push the button on spending a big chunk of money on doing so.
Exactly. And I mean, buildings are expensive, right?
They are.
And there are a lot of businesses moving from owned premises to rented premises. So knowing how big those premises need to be is super important. But then I mean, we're automating things as well in the moment. So not just after the event, but if a room's not booked and someone's not showed up, free it up for someone else to use. So taking that out of human hands, because we know people forget to do these things. No one realises the expense of a meeting room. They just don't turn up, or they do it from home, or they're in a coffee shop, or they're still travelling in.
Yeah, they do. And they miss things and they're just trying to do it quick. But obviously the pieces that you've mentioned in there can hopefully speed that up for them.
Yep.
What have we missed? Is there any other, because it's the hot topic that everyone wants to speak about, what AI features have you got? So what else? Is there anything that, I know you've given us a few exclusives, is there something that we've missed or that could be in there that you haven't spoken about yet that you want to touch on from an AI perspective?
Just very quickly to recap, content creation, content generation using AI, prompt generation, and being able to refine that, which I think is important. So it's a starting point. Like, it's just speeding up. How do I get to here, and then modify that based on what I'm hoping to see. Of course, we've got the concierge AI in workplace management. So being able to have an assistant to help you book spaces and the right spaces for you. And then we have the screen detective, which is that first iteration of figuring out those problems and resolving those without someone having to constantly go in and have a look if players are online. Yep. Is there a problem? And also that, again, from an analytics perspective, going, well, what are the regular problems and why are we having the same problems with the same player? Is it overheating? Is it in an area where it's a canteen and the temperature's not working quite right? So being able to figure out those sorts of patterns as well, which is really key. AI is something that we are hugely investing in right now. And as I said earlier, it's not about replacing people. It's just giving those people more time by making the processes and the workflows simpler, easier, to get to the end goal.
Cool. I mean, this more a question, say, for you directly, because you've been doing digital signage for a very long time.
Please don't age me on a podcast.
I didn't mean that as an insult. Let's just say, I mean, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people do when they're looking at a deployment, right? Because you've probably done hundreds of them anyway, just with Korbyt alone, so that we're not giving away any ages. What are organisations doing that you would say, mistake may be a bit of a harsh word, but that maybe they're not considering when they're coming down to a deployment when it comes to digital signage?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think I touched on earlier that I think ownership is really important, and throwing a technology into a company and not having anyone to truly own it is a real mistake. Accountability is important, but so are metrics. I think one of the biggest step changes for me in signage was when you stop saying, well, here's a solution and here is a solution to your problems. So if at a senior level a business owns signage and wants it to be able to have a certain outcome and they know what those metrics look like, so whether it's to sell more, to create more, to manufacture more, whatever it might be, then you can truly measure its success and go to the business, this is what we've saved, or this is what we've made, or this is how we've improved and made ourselves more efficient. And I think that more businesses need to, and it's difficult, it's not easy to justify a digital, it's one of the most difficult technologies to justify, because what price do you put on communicating better with your staff? But
it's an impossible number.
It is very, very difficult. But because we do an awful lot with data integrations, so we do a lot of manufacturing floors, we refer to it as concrete areas rather than carpeted areas, right? It's not just fluffy messaging, it is We've got some of the largest brands in the world that are making pharmaceuticals, fizzy drinks, fast-moving consumer goods, vehicles, aircraft carriers, whatever it might be. When they're making those things in production, it's important that people understand their KPIs, the dashboards, the metrics, all of those things. And if that information sits in another system, then they've got to go to a laptop
to find it,
log in, authenticate, get your username, password, figure it out, then go back to your station, and that's all lost time. So there are ways in that use case to justify.
Yeah, you can do it time.
Absolutely. Time saved and things improved and speeding processes up and all those good things. And I think that more businesses need to think about that. What is the end goal, rather than just throwing a technology into a building and thinking it's probably doing its job, because that's not going to work.
Okay. Well, I'm going to push and try and make you narrow this down a little bit then. And you kind of already answered it, but let's say you could narrow that down to one piece of advice that you'd give to, say, IT leaders or facility managers or whoever's managing that space, workplace managers, whatever the title might be, whoever's, let's say, having ownership for this deployment, whether it be digital signage or a booking platform. What's the one piece of advice that you give them as they sort of start their journey?
What is its purpose?
Okay.
That would be my advice. Figure out what you're actually trying to achieve right at the very start so that you can work back from that.
Okay. I think that's absolutely solid advice, because a lot of times you'll sit down with people who are like, we need something like that. And they say, why?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
What's driving this? No, I think that's pretty solid advice.
I think you've got to think about, it's not about the tech. You have to remove yourself from the tech. And unfortunately, in this space, you get a lot of technology buyers. And that is a challenge, because they're thinking about features and how easy is it to pull widgets in and integrate, and that's all great stuff. But if you do not understand the purpose and the reason that you're putting that technology into your business, you cannot decide whether it was successful or not. That's not possible, and it just makes things a little bit harder to continue that, particularly as we're in a SaaS world now where it's recurring, right? It's not a one-off expenditure and we've bought it now, so we kind of have to make it work. Justifying spending that money year on year is something that every organisation has to do.
Absolutely agree. Okay, so last one for you then. Looking ahead, what do you personally think the workplace experience landscape is going to look like over sort of the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
What do I think it'll look like? I think it will be, again, to my last point really, it's not about just the technology, it's about bringing together technology. The advancements in technology, AI will play a huge part in both signage and workplace experience, but the human elements of that.
Okay.
I think we need more, so yes, we're taking it to that next level of being able to prompt generate to be able to book spaces and or create content. But how do I go, I've forgotten to do that layout. Hey Siri, create me a layout. Voice automation, it's not something that exists in a lot of these technologies now.
No, it's not, you're right.
So this kind of simple approach to a human being able to do things on the fly and do more with their time, I think is really important.
There was Siri talking back to you.
Siri's talking. So I think introducing more obvious human elements to workflows is going to be an important part of that future.
Okay.
Including voice activation. I think that's where everything's going. I'm sure we've all got about 15 Alexas in our house, particularly when
do you know what? I actually have none. I don't do any of it. No,
I'm,
for someone that works in technology, I'm pretty technology flat in my house. So, a bit poor, really. Look, we've touched on a lot about what you guys can do. Is there anything that you guys are bringing to the table or you want to speak about that maybe we haven't touched on?
There's an awful lot coming. We have got a very busy roadmap. Our roadmap is actually public, which I think is quite unique for a vendor. So you can go to Korbyt.com and have a look. There is, we've got a few things in there, public roadmap. We've got the ability for clients to be able to tell us what features they want.
Okay,
and
so live feature request.
Yeah, cool. Live feature requests, but you can also upvote them. So if another client sees that they want it, they go, yeah, that's important to us.
Good.
And that's how we're evolving now.
And do you guys prioritise based on that then?
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and they are really agile. So I know, not this Christmas, just gone, the Christmas before, a large professional service company came to us and said, we love your solution and it's doing this for us right now. What we want is it to integrate with WSD from ServiceNow. Can you do that? 72 hours later, it was out on the market, and it wasn't just for them as a patch it was everybody.
It was everybody.
Product.
I assume, and I'll make that safe assumption that when you guys do an update, it's for everyone. It's not just for one, unless they're physically paying for it just for their own services.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do. So we've got some really I would call them mission critical like clients out there. So we work with a central flagship police force who've got our solution in their 999 centre.
Okay.
That's pertaining life. That's not like a fluffy picture,
Nope.
a nice image on the wall. When people are calling emergency services for whatever reason, they're in the boot of the... I watched far too many crime dramas.
They're in the boot of a car.
They're in the boot of a car and they're trying to figure out where they're going.
Yep.
I've turned left, I've turned right, I've turned left, I saw a Sainsbury's. That information and those queues and how many people are waiting and all those things are on the screens that we are powering with Korbyt. And because of the nature of that, it is also on-premise.
Okay, so it's specific for them.
Absolutely. So we're not just cloud-based. They are on-prem, but obviously that means that updates are optional in that particular environment.
Makes sense.
Whereas the cloud-based solution, of course, they tend to be.
You get everything.
For everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Something comes out and you get access to it. Yeah.
Cool. Fantastic. Well, look, thank you for coming in. I mean, it's one of the longer ones. We've covered quite a bit. Just made sense anyway. If anyone would like to sit down, go through the Korbyt solution from either digital signage perspective or room, desk booking, that kind of thing, car park booking, I think we mentioned as well, feel free to reach out to us directly. We'll get you guys involved, show you a demo, that kind of thing. But other than that, thank you for coming in, Adele. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much.